coming to you live from Gangland Los Angeles. It's the 10 Point Podcast. My name is Bruce, and I don't curse. Don't trust a man who doesn't curse. Not a fuck or a shit in all these episodes. Speaking of which, with me this week during this episode, his name is Mud, or at least it will be when his wife finds out he's still doing this. It's Chris.
It's going to be like that after I've wrapped the laptop against the wall the way it's carrying on.
Chris is present. He may not look like he is present. I'm not sure how it's going to display on the video, but podcast-wise, Chris is barely here, but he is here. And secondly, on the show this week, he's not a vigilante. He's just trying to get home, and if everyone stays out of his way, then nobody will get hurt. It's Andy.
That's true. Pretty much how I live my life.
That's you on a daily basis, I would say.
Get
and
the
of
fuck
course,
out of my way.
why am I calling you by your first names? I walk in here a total stranger. I'm calling you Rick and Sheila like we're in some sort of AA meeting. Except it's the 10 Point Podcast meeting. You can find all your 10 Point Podcast, if I can use my mouth, goodness at 10pointpodcast.com. That is our website. Everything related to the 10 Point Podcast is on that website. You can contact us on Twitter and on Facebook. We're 10 Point Podcast over there as well. And you can also email us at the website. We're on YouTube, 10 Point Podcast there. And we're a podcast, therefore you can find us anywhere that podcasts happen. Type in 10 Point Podcast over there. Podcast Addict was popular recently. So people listen to us on Podcast Addict. We've been crunching some numbers and working out where everybody is listening to us from and how. So what have you been watching us in the last week? I'll let Chris maybe calm down a little bit unless he wants to funnel his energy into telling me. And Andy said he'd watched loads. So Andy, why don't you lead off and tell us what you've seen in the last week?
Alright, so I watched the shit show that was the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
Was it that
I've heard
bad?
nothing but bad about it, yeah.
Alright, so like I'm not a massive Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan anyway. I just watched it. And then this is meant to be a direct sequel to the first one.
Right.
And it kinda is. Like I know the story of the first one. I enjoyed it. Because it's basically I would say it's a spoof of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it kills basically a bunch of hipsters and people I hate.
Of
So
course.
I very much enjoyed it. It is not in any way, shape, or form scary, and the gore is over the top to such a degree that I don't think the physics would add up. But still, it's kind of one of them films you have to watch. It's a train wreck. But if you go into it knowing it's a train wreck, don't go into it going, oh my god, this is a sequel I've been waiting for 40 years or whatever. Because you'll be disappointed.
It's like watching Scary Movie instead of watching Scream. Is it kind of like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was very much watching this going, like there was one bit I jumped, but that's just because it was loud noises, but there was no way I'm like, oh my god. It's like, every single step of the way of this film, it's like, he's there. He's going to get that. You can predict it. It's so predictable, but I actually quite enjoyed watching it. But the ending seems to be getting everybody, and yeah, it is over the top. Like it's worth a watch. It's one of them ones you're going to have to watch because you're not getting any more because this film tanked something.
Exactly. Yeah. It's been, as popular as some things get reviewed, it's been a while since I've seen something be as kind of publicised and been as absolutely panned as I've seen this movie being. Anything else for you then, Andy?
Proper shit. There was something else, but I got too engrossed in this one.
Yeah.
Come back to me, I'll think.
Come back to you. Chris, how about you then? What have you watched in the last week?
I watched Captain America Winter Soldier last night. It was on BBC.
I watched the First Avenger this week, just randomly because I was bored. I put that on. So that's the two Captain Americas we've watched this week.
And what else did I watch? The Kong versus Godzilla. Because I watched the King of the Monsters the other week.
We're on a similar path here, watching the same sort of things. How do you find Godzilla versus Kong, Kong versus Godzilla then?
I like it. I think it's good. The Mecha Godzilla was a bit shit.
Yeah, I've only ever seen it the one. I remember it was a big hype one when it came out. I think it was prime pandemic, wasn't it, Godzilla?
Yes,
prime
I think
pandemic. So. I'm a massive Godzilla guy, so I very much liked how Godzilla was quite clearly better than Kong for the entire film. Like he is the fair winner when the fight is fair. But I remember there being like really good stuff about it. But then, what is the whole Hollow Earth thing all about, and why are we doing? Like, it seemed to be half the film was like, what is this even for? And another half was like, oh, it's just big monsters fighting each other. It seemed like it was a split.
I didn't really notice that they talked about Hollow Earth in King of the Monsters. They kind of mentioned it briefly.
Yeah.
And then I never put two and two together until I watched them back to back. like the last couple of weeks, and I was like, right, okay, makes sense now.
Because of course Godzilla in King of the Monsters kind of has a little sleepy nap down like, in a shallow bit of the Hollow Earth, I guess you would call it. Anything else for you then, Chris?
No, that was it. Oh no, Clifford the Big Red Dog. The girls wanted to watch that. Shit.
Oh, there's an idea for a movie: Godzilla versus Kong versus Clifford the Big Red Dog.
It's Clifford.
I don't know if he's big enough. I'm sure because they made Kong bigger to fight Godzilla, so maybe they could make him bigger. Or something. I don't know. So thumbs up on that.
Oh no, I give a shit.
A big.
It made no sense. They had Jack Whitehall doing an American accent, despite the fact his sister in the film was British. It made no fucking sense whatsoever.
Yeah, some bizarre casting decisions. As far as I'm going, bits and bobs of TV things, nothing that I really want to go too deep into. Andy and I were discussing before Chris finally made it on that Pam and Tommy's not maybe as good as everyone thought it might be, so I've kind of slowed on my viewing of that. Captain America First Avenger is literally the only film I've watched in the last week. And I always liked Captain America films, I always liked the other ones kind of better than the first one, but watching the first one again in isolation, I think it's really, really good. I'm fully in the camp of it's better than Wonder Woman. Everyone says, "Oh, Wonder Woman's one of these great movies and all that." It's basically the same film: army, war. This person's superpowered. But this viewing of it, I just noticed how great everybody is in Captain America: First America. Something like Tommy Lee Jones is in the MCU. Only in Captain America: The First Avenger is about 6th from the top in the cast, and it's incredible in the film and the character he has to play. And it's like. Just the casting in that film is exceptional for these, like, there's only really like 10 people who really have a character in it. Everybody else is kind of soldiers and all that. But yeah, tremendous, really, really good. I very much enjoyed it, but that's hardly news to anybody. And yeah, I have nothing else to brag about watching in the last week.
I remember the other film I watched.
Ah, yes, okay.
It was Ice Age: The Adventures of Buck Wild.
Is that a spin-off or is it like
it's a spin-off with Simon Pegg's character, and it is shite. Right. Because the only person they got back was Simon Pegg to play Buck Wild again. He was in the last Ice Age film. Whereas everybody else is actually in it more than I thought, like Manny and all the other ones. It's Sid the Sloth, but none of them are voiced by the right actors. They're all dubbed over, which they're actually not bad. Like if I hadn't read the things, I would have not known. But knowing it annoyed me, and yeah, it was shit. Pointless film.
Not a big week, but I feel like I don't know, there's probably some good films and stuff coming out soon that we'll get all excited about. I'm sure. I don't know. I'm not sure, but yeah, not a good period for films at the moment. On to the reason for the podcast this week. What is the point? Is point number one. The point is the 1993 action crime drama thriller Falling Down. Brought to us by Warner Brothers, who brought us films that we've done before, including the Best Film Pointy Award winner, The Prestige. Edge of Tomorrow, The Goonies, Batman Returns, and Little Shop of Horrors, but also a whole bunch of different studios here. So, Canal Plus or Studio Canal Plus, which we've never done, but they make like Taken and Paddington and all that. Regency Enterprise that we have done before, who made Gone Girl, and then Alcor Films, who we haven't done before, haven't done an awful lot, but they've done Free Willy, Under Siege, and Natural Born Killers, which seems like 3 random different films for the one production company to me, and then a whole bunch of kind of other ones that aren't that famous. So, a right mixture of companies behind this one here. Falling Down, written by Eb Roe Smith, who is in the film. He plays Guy on Freeway, so I think he's the guy who helps them push the car out the way in the first place, I think. He wrote it. It's the first thing he ever wrote that was produced. He then wrote a TV movie that was about half an hour long, and then wrote Car 54, Where Are You? A kind of resurgence of an old TV show that they made in 1994, the year after this came out, and that's it. That's the only things he ever wrote. He's more famous for being an actor. And when I say more famous for being an actor, this is one of his most famous roles that he plays Guy. So Eb Roe Smith, this is very much the peak of his career, and may actually just be his career, might be falling down. The film, directed by a more famous name, Joel Schumacher, a big name in movies.
He put nipples on the batsuit.
He did. We've never covered him as we've done one of his movies before, but he's famous for St. Elmo's Fire and The Lost Boys before making Falling Down, and as Andy says, he made Batman Forever and Batman and Robin after this. And then other famous films he made after that were 8mm, Phone Booth, and then the 2004 version of The Phantom of the Opera. So Joel Schumacher, a big-time director, directing for us this week. Falling Down stars. I picked out the 2 main stars. They both came before the title card came up. Michael Douglas, famous for Romancing the Stone, Fatal Attraction, Wall Street, and Basic Instinct. he decided after that hot run of Fatal Attraction, Wall Street, Basic Instinct, and a few other things, that he was going to step away from acting. And then the script for Falling Down came across his desk, and he was like, "This is the best script I've ever read. I have to make this film." And he went about getting production companies to help make the film. So this film exists because Michael Douglas liked it. He then went on to make The American President, The Game, Traffic, and then Ant-Man and other MCU properties beyond that. Co-starring with Michael Douglas, Robert Duvall. Kind of first broke through in westerns and detective shows in the 60s. And then he was in a couple of films you might have heard of called The Godfather and Apocalypse Now, which pretty much decided he had a career after that. And then after that, The Natural, Days of Thunder, then he was in Falling Down, and then big time movies after that, Deep Impact and A Shot at Glory, that we always mention whenever we can on the podcast, because Andy is in that film. Oh, Sean's in the film, yeah.
You're not Sean's in that film. I'm blurred. I think I need the 4K version to see me, but Sean, clear as day, is in that film.
Oh, yeah.
That film. And we've definitely discussed A Shot at Glory before, and I've just realised that has to be on my list. And at some point, I'm going to find that film and we're going to do it. But not yet. Falling Down, on a budget of $25 million in 1992, I guess it was when they made it. Opened first weekend, $9 million. Final US gross, $41 million. Final worldwide gross, $96 million. So it essentially quadrupled its budget in cinemas around the world. Released 26th of February 1993, so we're very, very, very close to the actual 20th anniversary, or the 19th anniversary, I guess it would be. Is that right? Am I maths right? No, 30th anniversary. Almost the day it came out. 26th February means that it was slap bang in the middle of the 93 award season when it came out. However, it only ever got 3 nominations in its history. 2 are of no consequence whatsoever. So the biggest one being it was nominated for the Palme d'Or at the 1993 Cannes Film Festival, essentially the big award at the Cannes Film Festival. It did not win though. The winner was a tie between The Piano and a Chinese/Hong Kong movie called Farewell My Concubine. They were the joint winners of the Palme d'Or that year. So not much credit around for Falling Down. Not many people liked it. The synopsis for Falling Down. And here is a classic. Claudio from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil.
Yeah, boy.
A long time since Claudio has contributed here. So normally I've never read this, but I took his synopsis that he prepared for us, especially. And he had put down, anytime a character is mentioned, he'd put who played them in the cast next to it. So I've chopped 3/4 of the people out because they're not that important. So I've left a couple in. So Claudio tells us.
If we ever do a live show, like arena tour, when we take this podcast like proper international, we need to get all of our contributors to come and read the synopsises of films we do in the live stadium tours. Claudio is going to be in this bad boy.
Yeah, Claudio.
Yeah, Nick and Claudio.
Yeah, they're the two. There was another one we had a few times, but yeah, these are the two. Anyway, Claudio says about Falling Down. On the day of his daughter's birthday, William defends Foster, played by Michael Douglas, is trying to get his estranged wife's house to see his daughter. He has a breakdown and leaves his car in a traffic jam in Los Angeles and decides to walk. Along the way, he stops at a convenience store and tries to get some change for a phone call, but the owner, Mr. Lee, does not give him change. This destabilizes William, who then breaks apart the shop with a baseball bat and goes to an isolated place to drink a Coke. 2 gangsters threaten him, and he reacts by hitting them with the bat. Defends continues walking and stops at a phone booth. The gangsters hunt him down with their gang and shoot at him, but crash their car. William goes nuts and takes their gym bag with weapons, proceeding in his journey of rage against injustice. Meanwhile, Sergeant Martin Pendergast, his name's Martin, I've been looking, that's the first time I've seen it. It's not mentioned in the film, I think, and it's not in any cast list. Right, so Sergeant Martin Prendergast, played by Robert Duvall, who's working on his last day before retirement, is following the wave of crimes and believes that the same man is responsible, but the other detectives do not pay attention to him, and that's where he leaves it. I don't know why he tells us literally everything that happens.
Fucking hell!
First gives up. There. Yeah, like,
I reckon somebody rang his doorbell. He's like, "Shit, post it."
Yeah, it's dead. There we go. That's essentially what happens in the first half of Falling Down. Who picked? The random wheel of randomness, movie roulette, whatever we want to call it, picked. Do we know who put it on the wheel? Because sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It had tempted me to put on a list at some point, but I hadn't done it because I had not seen it before, and I was intrigued by it, and the imagery of it from my youth kind of stuck with me, and I never actually got around to seeing it. Had any of you guys seen it before?
I had not seen this film.
Have you not?
Oh, fucking hell. No, I've genuinely never seen this film.
There we go.
That's
So,
like the second one in this podcast.
and what did come out after Die Hard, so that has now been rectified. So you still have seen every film since Die Hard because you have now watched it, obviously. What channel will we see it on? This is a tough one because none of us have seen it.
Well, I'd see that. I've completely misremembered it though. I thought his family being like taken hostage and he was being made to confront random people. So I've completely misremembered
You've seen this, not another film, Chris.
Well, no, because I remember the Whammy Burger scene, and I remember him in his briefcase.
Yeah. There you go. So, it checks out.
It does. It can't be a Whammy Burger.
So yeah, my best stab is maybe a Channel 4 or Channel 5.
I was gonna say Channel 5.
Yeah,
I feel like it's BBC for some reason.
Could be. Well, you watch.
Oh, no way BBC will put this shit on. This is way too. This is way too like BBC have got to be balanced. They're not balanced.
Yeah, it's very controversial, so they don't put this on. And there is only one version, so we have all watched the same version. I would hope, unless Chris has got one where he saves his family from, I don't know. On to point 2 then, high points. What we thought the best things and bits were of the film. And none of us picked. So I'll just lead off with the start. The opening car scene in the car is really good. And it's a really good job of building the tension of him snapping. I thought he was just going to snap. Yeah. But he doesn't. He just gets up and he's like, I'm going home. But again,
it's your blood boiling as well. You're just sitting there and everything pans into things that you hate as well.
I mean,
boils your own piss.
I mean, like, that's literally how I drive all the time. Like, as soon as I stop for more than 5 seconds on the motorway, that's exactly how I feel instantaneously. The thing is, obviously, I watched Unhinged, like, before this film, which is obviously and it gave me the same vibes. I was like, oh, this could be like an early Unhinged. It's like, this is it. I love a maniac. So straight away, I was already I knew Russell Crowe was going to turn up and kill some people.
Yeah, like Chris says, it's filled with little, but it's like little irritants. It's like, oh, that would annoy me. Oh, that would annoy me, but not enough to go on a rampage. So it doesn't quite go yet.
I don't know.
I don't know if I don't know if you guys did any trivia research, but I did bits and pieces. So something that's important about the film, I'll get into it. But this scene was especially kind of smoggy. LA is famous for smog and all that kind of thick air. It was especially smoggy on this day because the fires from the famous LA riots from 1992 were still burning. This was filmed during the LA riots, which meant that they had to stop production because essentially half the city is like rioting against like police brutality and racism and all that sort of stuff, which then makes the film even more, I don't know, important because they start making production again, and they're going into all these gangland areas as they call it, and he's like racially abusing a Korean guy in his shop. There's like Mexican gangbangers that he's like fighting with and all that, and it's like, so it's a very kind of high racial tension in the film, as actual high racial tensions happening literally around about them when they're filming and all that. So yeah, I think that might have added to a lot of the controversy in the filming or in the making of the film. Anyone else got any other high points? Early high points?
It's not really a high point, but I feel like I could feel the heat wave through the screen. I know, I just like, you could tell like everybody's all like, sweating, like you could tell like it's really hot, and I was just like, could just feel the heat wave as I was watching it.
Yeah. It really does a good job of putting you in his not in his role necessarily, but where he is. That you can't. I don't know, the ambience of every single scene is really well made. What about you, Andy? Any early high points?
The convenience store. That's where it starts picking up for me because I was all over that shit.
Care to expand on that?
I just get annoyed by people, like just cunts that rip people off. That's pretty much where I'm at. It was straight away, because
especially ripping him off. Like I could work out if it was. Is it normal?
I think he was.
And it's like, actually for you it's 85. Or
I think he was, and that's the vibe I took of it. So I was fully on board. Like, actually, you've got every right to be a complete and utter twat here. Because as soon as I seen this scene, I was remembering our local convenience store person who decided to inflate toilet roll prices back in the day when COVID first kicked in. I was just like, this is making me angry. I'm having like I was on Michael Douglas's side here. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna kill some people now.
So I was like, okay, like the first scene happens, everything's a little irritant, and I'm like, okay, yes, that would be annoying. And then he just runs off, and I'm like, fair enough. Look, the car's not going anywhere anyway. People can go around about you. Like it's a bit of a stupid thing to do, a bit of a pain in the arse for other people. Then he goes to the shop, and I'm like, okay, right, and this is going to be annoying, and oh yeah, that's a lot. And I did some research. Apparently, that's like even 50 cents would have been expensive. Like what I could find out was a hard thing to Google. I thought it'd be easy. How much was a can of Coke in 1990?
Yeah.
So much. The internet is too much information. So I couldn't find out. I think 50 cents is probably still steep, but roughly there. But then it just started racially abusing the guy in the shop for no reason. I'm like, hold on a minute here. Okay, well, I don't think you're the protagonist anymore.
To be fair, I was with Mr. Lee because like I was thinking, what bellend goes into the fridge and starts cooling his face in the can? I was like, you're paying for that, you bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, fucking hell, don't you dare. So I half understood he's overcharging, but yeah, he took it too far. Because I thought that's double the price back in 1993.
What annoyed me first is why you just didn't give him 250 cents or whatever it was, and just be done with it.
Instantly, the film, it had the tilt drawer open as well, and it's like everybody who's watching is like, the drawer is open. Like all he has to do is just swap it over to give him whatever it is. I guess it's a quarter for the phone machine. I guess it would be so. And he intentionally, no, you can't have any. Then shuts it, and it's like, oh, okay. And then like the whole scene flips when he's like, yeah, what are you saying? What are you saying to me? And then I didn't hear him at first. I didn't know what he said, so he repeated himself. I can hear what he's saying. And he's like, oh, don't you know what we've done for your country and all that sort of stuff? And I was like, oh, Jesus, okay, right, you're one of these guys. So that's
what I kind of turned against him is when he starts I don't know, they start fighting over the baseball bat, and he knocks everything off, and then he just goes like, you know what, I'm just going to destroy the shit out of your shop.
Yeah, exactly.
For no reason.
What would have been a quarter initially? Like, I guess it cost him 50 cents, I suppose, 50 cents to buy the can. But yeah, over such a small amount of money. So my next high point, first of all, I'll go past, he then makes his phone call, doesn't say anything again, so that was a waste of time. Yeah. But immediately when he's on the phone, you just see these two like stereotypical gang members in the distance, and you're like, oh god, I don't know what's going to happen, but I know what's going to happen here. I'll say it goes on to the next scene, and I haven't got the fight as a high point with the two gang guys fighting over his briefcase that we eventually find out is empty. All he's got is his lunch, but I have got the worst drive-by ever is my next high.
Oh, that was the most amazing. Like, I don't know, they killed like 4 or 5 people, I reckon.
Nah, it wasn't.
He didn't even flinch, though. He just stood there and just like let the bullets. Yeah, I know if it's going to hit me, it's going to hit me.
We've already mentioned him once in the podcast, but it's exactly, if you're playing Call of Duty with Sean, that's how he shoots people. He will miss the target and shoot everything around but the targets.
Yeah.
He panics. I reckon they panicked. They were just like, fuck.
Definitely panicked, because like first of all, like they don't look like they're prepared, and then this was like a bad idea, and obviously the girl, I can't remember what her name was, she used to tell them not to do it anyway. And it goes horrendously badly, and they don't shoot them at all, like you say. But for them to then just go and essentially suicide themselves into a parked car around the corner, like why? Like, how's the guy who was driving? Why didn't he just what's stopping him driving normally to kill himself and 2 others? Because obviously one of them survived crawling out on the road. But yeah, a stupendously badly executed drive-by has to be a high point. So
I did like I'll tell you what, his lesson on shooting though, because he took one shot, he went, "Oh, I'm quite bad at aiming this," and he just went bang, that's rattle you in the leg. That's how you do it.
But I'll tell you what, right? I'm going to put this as a high point. It's not normally one of my normal high points here. However, I've decided, after doing so many of these films, especially older ones, films were racist back in the day. Right? Because, like, talking about that woman, like, obviously, we're 3 white males, so we don't really see it. She was like, it was a white dude. And then they're like, no, it definitely wasn't. Tell us the truth. And it's like, she's telling them the truth. And it's like, the more that we were doing these films, I just realized that, holy shit, we lived in a caged world. We had our own little bubble. Couldn't actually say anything. But yeah, all these racism things are coming out now. Yeah. Why did none of us see this back in the day?
I know. It's even because when they get her back in again, I think her mum's with her.
Yeah,
and she's like, she told you it was she told you it was a black guy, or she told you it was a Mexican guy. And he's like, no, I want the truth now. Like, it's so weird that like essentially they got her to give them the answer that they wanted, so that they could then. Oh, that actually reminds me. I've actually got some real life thing that happened with this, and I'm like one of 10 people in the world. Now, I'm not weird about this, but I was just sitting bored one night, and a tweet came up that someone had stolen a car in LA, in California anyway, and there was like one of the police chases on, and it was happening live, And I was like, oh, okay. But the what teased me in was it was a party bus that the person had stolen. And I was like, okay, I'll watch. So I clicked on it. I found the link and all that. So I ended up watching it. Probably I saw about the last 10 minutes of the car chase is what I saw. But not long after I started watching it, the news people, because you can just hear the people in the studio talking, and it's like, oh, we're hearing now, we've identified that it is a Hispanic male that has stolen it. We don't know if anyone's in the back. All we know is it's Hispanic, blah, 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 blah. So the chase is going on. This thing's going to be 80 miles an hour, not quick at all. And eventually it comes off the freeway. It's on like a normal road, and I don't know what happened, but essentially it just rear ends this car. This car goes flying up the road. No one gets seriously injured. It comes to a halt, and the police are all there pointing their guns at it. And then the driver finally gets out, hands up in the air, and it's a ginger white woman. And I'm like,
amazing.
What's with the Hispanic guy? Like, how have you identified this person and it being the opposite? Like, there's a Hispanic guy and a ginger white woman, and it's like there you go. That immediately. American still nowadays they'll jump at the chance to say, oh, it's a Hispanic guy that's driving it. No, it's just a white woman.
But yeah, summarize, I'm putting a high point is these films are opening up racism in the early doors. We should have stopped this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like this film is obviously it's about racism as well. Like this film, I meant to do it on a second rewatch, was track everything that this film moans about. Like it feels like it's Andy's trigger warning in a film here, where this is a problem. You should do that. Like both good and bad. Like complaining, oh, these people coming over and not learning the language is one thing, and then it's like racism is another thing. And there's so many different like bees in its bonnets. This film that's getting off its chest. Any other high points, so I can stop ranting about police chase as well.
My next one is the homeless guy trying his shtick.
Yeah.
Like everything he said to Bill, he just had a comeback. Like, oh, so you drove all this way? Where's your driver's license? Oh, I don't have it. Oh, so you drove all this way illegally without a driver's license? Yeah, no.
And then everything after that as well.
It's perfect. What this film does well because you go off of him big time, but then you bring him back. It's like actually he's got a fucking point. Homeless people 9 times out of 10 are cunts, and he's called them on it. Like I get it. There's homeless people out there that need it. But the problem is these kind of twats make you don't want to like give anybody money. And like I felt for the character again. It's like, oh, I'm on your side again. I am following you.
Yeah, I wish I was as quick as he was because like I'd be like, oh, here, go take the money, and I was sitting there going. I was like going, I should have said this because
yeah, I know. I've only done that. I still think, as a general rule, if someone comes up to you telling you a story about why you need to give them money for the bus, it's like it's not for the bus. If someone needed money for the bus, they would just go get money somewhere else. It's like it's always people who are going to spend it on something else. They come up and ask a stranger, pay for my bus for me. Yeah, that was my next high point. What about you, Andy? Any other high points?
Food.
Whammy
burger.
Whammy burger.
Yeah, that's my next one.
Oh.
It has low points. I don't know if I'll put it in here, but as a thing, Whammy burger is definitely a high point.
I don't like the same way as in Jane Silent Bob when they went to movies. Instantly, I was in love with the franchise. I was like, actually, yes. And the same in like Coming to America, McDowell's. Straight away when they walk into a place and straight away, Whammy burger. I felt like it was a real thing, and I was there. Yeah, that's a high point right there. If you can make a fast food chain just appeal to me straight away, I'm all in.
I love the way they shoehorned whammy into absolutely everything that they sold as well. It's like the whammy chicken and the whammy burger and the whammy, everything had whammy in it.
Yeah, I'm all for a fake franchise just appearing and just drawing me straight in.
It's written down kind of as a goof in the trivia is that the Sheila behind the counter, she essentially got the giggles when she was filming.
Oh, she looks like she's always with a laugh.
But I took it on the watching of her just being this like cool and calm, not giving a damn character, as in like, I don't think he's going to shoot me. It's not my money. It's not my burger. I just work here. And then as soon as the attention goes to the dude, what's his name again? Rick. As soon as the attention goes to Rick, she seems to enjoy that Rick's getting all the attention. She was just on the wind up of him, but apparently it's the actress was laughing like Michael Douglas face.
Literally, I was going to put that in my low point. Is she just looked like she was about to piss herself laughing at any stage.
Yeah. I quite enjoyed that.
I was going to say, I thought it was just brilliant how he's just like, I want breakfast. Now you're 4 minutes late, you can't get breakfast. And then he loses his shit. And he's like, I don't want breakfast now, I want lunch.
I have generally been into the other well-known franchise that does breakfast. begins with a Mick and ends in Donald's.
Uh-huh.
Right. So I've genuinely been in the drive-through where, like, watching it, and they come out, and it's like, I think it's 11 o'clock now, and they literally just turn the sign, they manually push the sign around, and I was like, I wonder what they do, because the queue's going slow, and it's like, I'm in the drive-through. It's like, I planned it so I was going to be a couple of minutes afterwards anyway. So I was like, I'm wanting lunch anyway, so I'm fine.
Right.
But yeah, and genuinely, as soon as they turned that around, there was 2 cars, and the guy, like, I pulled up to the voice thing, the ordering thing, and the guy was trying to order breakfast. Like, oh no, it's past that. And it's like the guy was genuinely in the queue before they turned that sign, and it was amazing. And I had a flashback to that moment when they did this film. It was like, it genuinely is, because there has to be a cutoff point. 11 o'clock, boom.
That's it. I've got it in my low points. Is that he was late for breakfast? Like,
yeah,
there are other things in this film where he's unlucky, or it's like, oh, that's not his fault, or that other person is in the wrong. In this situation, he was late for breakfast, and he's actually late. He looks at his watch; it's after past, so they may not have any whammy breakfast baps left, or whatever it is they call them. So they won't start making it. So he was in the wrong there. And the other thing that was a low point from the scene, the guy says, "Have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?" I have, and it is just an expression. It is not a true thing. It is an expression. It is not an actual real life thing. It's not a rule. It's not a law. And I hate people quote the customer is always right, because the customer isn't always right. The customer is quite regularly wrong and really irritating.
Yep.
I also completely agree that he deserved to lose his shit over the fact that his burger was like an inch thick, despite the fact his picture was 3 inches thick. It annoys me.
And once again, that's what whipped me back to him. I was like, actually, he's right in this one. Because they never look like the fucking picture. And yeah, you get it from that well-known brand that begins with Mick and ends in Donald's. And they don't look anything like a big Mick Donald's. It doesn't look anything like that.
I don't think they hide the identity of this takeaway restaurant too well. For whatever reason, I don't know why.
I just can't crack this code that Andy's got going here. I've got a special shout out, by the way, to the old guy who tried to ditch his wife and leave.
Oh yeah, he was out there. That would have 100% been.
As soon as he saw that guy, he was out that door.
Oh, funny. Right then, it's been going well. So, Andy, Chris, what's your next high point? Because you keep guessing mine every time, so it saves me doing it.
I've not got really a lot of high points up until he actually gets to the street that the house is on, and he's
I'll go mine now then, since we'll skip it. The Army Surplus Store is actually a really good bit of the film.
Yeah.
While it's a hard watch, like Andy's saying, we were racist back then. The number of N-words and the other F-bombs the guy in the store drops is quite harsh on the ears.
As soon as you saw him, I knew exactly that he was that kind of person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the stereotypical guy who runs that kind of store is like, well, he's definitely going to be a closeted Nazi, and yes, of course he is. It's a really good scene, but like, it's obviously it's not fun and all that. But yeah, I very much liked what they did, because that guy was never painted out to be a good guy. Like, he, at this point, I certainly I'm having serious worries about Bill, about like, okay, he is not the hero of the story here. Then he finds a guy who's like even eviler, who then helps him out. And I'm like, okay, that would happen. And then you get the scene in the back of the store, which turns everything up even higher and all that. And I'm like, okay, right, okay, we've now found the bottom, but Bill is not at the bottom. And yes, I thought
I've got to agree with Bill saying you're allowed to disagree with people without it causing a big argument.
Exactly, yeah. You can't have different opinions, especially when the other person is a Nazi. You can say, I don't have to be a Nazi. But yeah, it is a well-made bit of a film, while not, I wouldn't say, yes, I love the crazy Nazi guy abusing homosexuals, but yes, it was a good bit of the film. And I'm on to the finale as well, so Chris, why don't you carry on with your...
Oh, yeah, like when he's on the phone to her and he's saying, oh, have you seen what they've done to this place? And she's, the realization that he's like, shit, he's right down the street. And like she puts the phone down, and he's like, "Why'd you do that?" Oh shit, she knows. And then the chase is on, and you're like, "Oh, what's going to happen when he gets her?"
Yeah, they did really well to, like, again, these sort of situations. The victims, as it were, make a really bad job of getting away, but they get away really. Like, they go out the back door, he goes in the front door, they run away. Running to the pier was a terrible idea. However, know he was going to follow them there. Like he had the whole rest of LA to go to. So it was like either they go to the one place that's not like Venice Beach or whatever it is, and catch them. So it was a gamble and it didn't pay off. So I don't think it was necessarily a bad plan. But the actual finale on the pier is my last high point, where he comes literally to the conclusion, I'm the bad guy, which is a great bit in a film. I do enjoy that. The guy who was essentially the star of movies, he's the name above, like Michael Douglas. You have concerns the whole way through. It gets worse and worse, and he turns out to be the bad guy at the end.
Like, I was 100%. I thought the cop was dead. They build that up. It was his last day. His wife's a bit of a nutter, but he's going to go and have live the rest of his. He's dead all the way through. I thought, oh fucking hell, he's dead. So I like the fact that he didn't die.
Before we go on to low points, then my first low point, because I do it as I watch the film. Last day as a cop is my first low point. Which doesn't matter anymore. He survived, but had he died, it would have really counted. But yeah, you're totally right.
I just loved a bit of the film. Like through the whole film, you like it's been mentioned. This whole like the high points. You're kind of on Bill's side until you see the home video of him being a complete nutter and shouting at his wife and his kid, and you're like, oh, okay, there is something wrong with him.
Yeah. There's definitely stuff wrong with him. I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom. Is that us for high points?
Yeah.
High.
Right, we better crack on to low points then. I'll miss out my last day as a cop thing. Andy mentioned it quickly in passing there. Prendergast's wife.
Oh, fuck me.
I thought the story was going to be that she, she'd suffered badly after the loss of the girl and all that. And then they get to the one scene where Prendergast being like, oh, we lost the girl. She went to sleep one night and didn't wake up. And then explained what was wrong with the girl. Like, oh, she died because of this. But never explained, why the wife is absolutely crazy. Like, I'm assuming that's the connection. But yeah, she was, I don't know, all sorts of mental.
It's my low point is his story. Like straight away, I was like, all right, he's dead. But everything they put in just annoyed me more. It's like, and she's batshit crazy. Like, it literally took me out of the film. Anytime it switched to her, and my other low point, which was his wife and kids, it's like those scenes, I didn't give a shit. Like, I didn't care about the cops going for the 30th time. I know they were trying to build up the whole, okay, he's a bit of a crazy. I just wanted to see him going on a complete and utter rampage.
Well, yeah.
Those two sub-stories just really took me out of the film.
It annoyed me, the police repeatedly leaving the house. It's like, okay, he might have phoned them at 9 a.m. saying, I'm coming over. You don't give up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, he must not be coming then. It's like, well, I've got a restraining order and he says he's coming here. That annoyed me that they left and then came back and then left again.
But then she was a bit of a ditz as well because she didn't know if it was in feet or meters and she didn't really help her case. Like, oh, he didn't actually hurt me. We might have, and it's just like, oh, you're an idiot.
Yeah, that was
not an idiot.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're supposed to take away from the scene where I stopped. Which makes sense. I stopped him before he hit me. Like I made sure he didn't. That doesn't mean he wasn't.
I felt like they were trying to just be edgy, where it's like, all right, he's not actually that bad. She might be a bit mental, and he's actually all right. I felt like they were trying to balance it too much, and it really annoyed me.
Pretty much at the point where we found out that he was just inviting himself over to their house where he was not welcome, and then later on, even before we find out that he's not allowed to be there, that's when I'm like, okay, you're the bad guy, you don't do this. Like, you cannot make the hero of the film just be like, I am coming over to your house because I want to. And I'm like, okay, that's when I started to really sour on him. Yes, this was even after the racism, which I thought, ooh. So the next one I've got is my complaints about the Whammy Burger. So who's got another low point?
I've got one kind of near the start. It kind of missed a little bit. I don't know why it annoyed me so much, but when he's helping push the car, like Pendergrass, and then the copper's bike falls over, and it's already fallen over, and then he turns around and runs to the bike, and he's like, "Oh no!" And the other cop's like, "Don't touch it." As he's reaching out and grabs it, he says, "Don't touch my bike." It's like he's like living in slow motion. It's really annoyed me for some reason.
It was a bit weird.
I felt like it was mistimed. That might be the best take they had, but somebody's a wee bit late on the bike. I'll be fine. Everything else was great. But I still feel like the motorcycle cop guy was a dick. Then he found out, you're actually a policeman as well. But then continues being a dick to him. It's like, what's wrong with him? He tried to stop your bike from getting broken. And it's like, it felt like an overreaction to me. But yeah, he was.
I think all the cops in this film, just apart from maybe Pendergrass a little bit, were just arseholes. So the police captain's my next one.
Yeah, carry on.
He was just a prick for no other reason because, like you mentioned at the start, because he didn't swear, or he didn't want to leave the thing for getting hurt, or he was already hurt.
I feel like it's around this point. My low point I've got written down is why does nobody respect Prendergast? Because he looks like he's comfortably the oldest detective, if you want to call it there.
Yeah.
And it seems like he was like I think he was shot and taken off like he's on death duty. But that seems like it was quite recent because I can't remember his partner's name, whatever her name is. Whatever character's name is, she like still quite young, so she can't be a police officer for that long. So he's been probably a year at most on the desk, and everyone seems to just really hate him and disrespect him. In fact, he's been a detective, whatever, for years. And then at that point, I wrote that down, and then immediately afterwards, 2 or 3 scenes. In fact, why is everybody in the film, apart from Prendergast, a complete dick? Like everybody, like, you can even throw Bill into this; he's a dick as well. It's like the other detective guy who he pushes into the cake. He was just a bell end the entire time for no reason. Like you're not in this film. Why one of these main character syndrome things? You're not important enough to be this much of a dick in this film. But you're right. Everyone just seems to get absolute arseholes throughout the entire film, which again adds to the whole thing of the film. It's just a rant against society, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, this is another thing. Random thing that annoyed me is when Pendergast finally snaps at his wife. And then hangs up the phone and just pulls this weird, like sucky face thing. I was like, "What are you doing, you freak? You've just become worse than Bill for that."
I've only got one more low point. So Andy,
I've got 2 more. So one is rocket launcher / grenade launcher. The physics on that thing does not add up.
Yep.
If it's a grenade, it's either going to bounce straight back up out of that hole. Or if it's a rocket, it's blowing up straight away.
Claimed it was
does
heat
not
seeking.
travel.
Claimed it was heat seeking. So I think that must
Bullshit.
be. It's going to go at a 45-degree angle and then detect heat however far away. Oh, I thought that way. But yeah, I don't think
not a chance in hell. But my biggest gripe is just the pacing of this film. It's like I just want to see him being a rager all the way through. But it's like, right, he's done something, and it just goes off, and it's like, oh, I don't care now. Oh, he's going to do something. And every scene that he's there, it's like, oh, rager. Oh no. Slow down again. It seemed that it made the film about twice as long as it should have been.
I quite enjoyed Prendergast piecing it together.
Yes.
Like I enjoyed. Oh right, okay. Oh, like I liked when he would overhear a clue and be like, oh, that relates to this thing I've done. Oh, here's someone else coming for an interview. I didn't work out why the other detective was like, hey Martin, her name is this guy Mr. Lee needs to give a report. On what's happened in his shop, and then just stands there and waits. It's like, could you not have done it? Like, why did you bring him all the way over here to stand and watch him giving his statement?
I didn't realize there was different sections. There was like robbery, and there was I don't know, like drive-bys or whatever it was, different areas. I don't know. I was like, why could that one person go, look, I'll take your statement and then I'll hand it over?
That's what I thought happened. That's what I thought. And I liked him finding the billboard as well. I liked those little developments. But what it does is make everybody else look really stupid. I hate when this happens where the entire police force doesn't care, but the one smart guy, he's smart enough to work it out. And it's never, oh, you might have an idea, I will help you. It's, stupid old Prendergast, I'm going to ignore you. Yeah. You've been working here for 40 years, but you know what you're talking about. But the tipping point for me was they find out, they go to the mum's house, Bill's mum. They find, oh, he's married to Beth. And Beth's surname is this. Like her maiden name is this. They go back to the police station to find his partner typing in like a hyphenated surname, and her going, she's not on the system. And he's like, have you tried her maiden name on its own? Oh, there she is. It's like, why? I don't understand how you didn't. Why wouldn't you? That you know they're divorced or separated or whatever it is. Like I can't believe that. But she was just. She was like, I'm on his side and still didn't believe anything and never went along with him. His stupid partner did my head in. She just presented as just being an absolute idiot. That's my last little point. Any others?
I'm done.
No, I think I'm out as well.
That's on to stats then. Stats for the film. Point number 4. 14 shits, one of which is on a bumper sticker of a car at the beginning. I counted that one. But 57 F-bombs. There's a lot of swearing in this. Like a heck of a lot of swearing. Especially the gangster gang guys when they have the bat fights and all that. There's a lot of swearing around. But there, 4 explosions that are all the same explosion when they fires the rocket launcher down into the thing explodes 4 times that he blows up at the far end. 6 deaths, including Bill himself. That's the drive-by. Shoots a lot of windows, hits somebody, misses Bill, hits somebody, and shoots someone in the leg, and then it's the guys in the car themselves that die. So I think at most they killed 2 in the drive-by, and then 3 of them died. So it wasn't a lot. No dead animals, no dead animals, no cows, no goats at all. Didn't identify any peeing. There were no paedophiles. The devil wasn't there. KKK / Nazis, the army surplus.
Yeah,
Yep.
They definitely get blended into the one now.
Yeah, at least one of the others shows up all the time. The film's called Falling Down. I counted how many times people fell down.
Ah, that's a good one.
6. I thought it'd be more because we don't see the car crash, and they're mainly people when the drive-by was happening. They all ducked down. So yeah, 6 people fell down. And did they say the thing? Did they say falling down?
No.
At one point he said fall down, but that's it. That was when he was in the back shop, and he's like, "Give me your other hand." He's like, "I can't." "Give me your other hand. I'll fall down." He goes, and I'm like, "Oh, nearly." Like it felt very close to saying this one. Any stats from you, Chris?
The only one, I don't know why I counted it, but the Nazi guy said, "Give it to me" 11 times in like the space of 10 seconds when he was whispering in the back of his ear. Because he just kept going, "Give it to me, give it to me, give it to me, give it to me," and like spitting everywhere.
I thought we were going down a different route with that scene, especially when he just using gay people. And I thought it's always them lot that are the ones who hate them.
I thought he was going full Pulp Fiction with that one.
I was getting ready to put it in my movies and reference to the No, it's not Pulp Fiction. Any other stats, Chris?
No, just that one.
Most pornographic scene, Andy?
The Whammy Burger restaurant.
I thought I ask.
Because his burger looked a bit shit, but on the actual billboards and that, some good burgers in there.
Advertising. Good. Okay, they're on the 0.5, 10-point podcast quiz. Andy is the quiz master. Why don't you tell us what it is this week?
Right. You almost ruined the surprise because you mentioned it before. So this is the 1993 version of The Price is Right.
Okay.
Fuck.
So what I'm going to do is
right.
I'm going to tell you a product, and each one of you have to tell me the price of that product. If you get the price bang on, you get double points. If not, it's the closest wins. I am pretty drunk, so you're going to have to work out who's the closest.
In traditional Price is Right, you can't go over. Is that? Are we? Yes,
let's do that. That's a good rule. Let's add that in.
You can't.
So if you go over, you're automatically eliminated.
Right. Okay.
But if you get it bang on, double points, and closest gets a point.
Right.
So, and we'll take it in turns. So we'll go Bruce first, then Chris, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Right. So it's all from 1993, and it's the average prices that I found on the internet in UK pounds.
And I'm accepting of that. Okay.
So, first one for Bruce.
Sorry, pounds, you said. Yes.
Pounds and pence. The average price of a new car in 1993.
I actually don't know where to start. New car.
New car.
Average. I'm going to go a solid £10,000.
You're going 10,000. Right. Chris, what are you going for?
I would say 4,995.
Okay. Bruce is the closest because it was 12,630.
Woohoo!
So Chris, you're next. The average price of a pint of milk.
I'll go an even pound.
You're going for an even pound.
Right.
Bruce.
2 pence.
You went for 2 pence. Bruce is technically the closest. It was 35 pence.
I knew Chris had gone way over. So.
Right, Bruce, you're next. The average price of a white loaf of bread.
White, specifically a white. Average price. Okay. 40 pence.
You're going 40 pence. Chris, what are you going for?
I'll go 35.
You're going for 35. Bruce gets it again. It was 55 pence.
Oh, for God's sake!
Right, Chris, you're next. The average price of a pint of lager.
Oh.
I'll go £2.
You're going £2.
£2.
I think that's high. I'll go £1.50.
Oh, so close. It was £1.53.
Oh!
Fucking hell, Bruce has got all these right so far. Right, Bruce, you're next. The average price of a pack of 20 king-size cigarettes.
Right, I have never smoked a day in my life. 20 cigarettes. $2.40.
You're going for 240, Chris.
I was gonna say $2.99.
You're both eliminated because it was 225.
Oh, quite close.
Hey,
Chris, here's one. The average price of a can of Coke.
30 pence.
You're going for 30 pence, Bruce.
Right, how do I play? I think that's roughly going to be right. 1993. Right. 30. This is tough. 31 pence.
You go for 31 pence. You're playing the dick move. It paid off. It was 35 pence. You got Right, Bruce, the average price of a Mars bar.
Mars bar.
There is no way for Chris to win, by the way, so we're just going to play for keeps now.
25p for a Mars bar.
You're going 25p, Chris?
I was going to say 15 pence.
Why wouldn't you just go 1 pence higher? Because it was actually 30 pence, so Bruce gets another point. Right, Chris.
My mind's not working right today.
There's 3 more to get a point, Chris. We just need 1 point out of these 3. The average house price in the UK.
I'm going to say 50,000.
You're going 50,000, Bruce.
Let's keep it light. Let's try and nail it. I think 50,000 is going to be a bit low, so I'm going to go 62,000.
Oh, Chris actually gets a point. It was 51,210 pence.
I don't know why. I'd seen something on TV the other day about house prices and how they have escalated.
Yeah,
right.
I think it was that much.
Right, 2 more, so let's see if Chris can actually get 3 in a row. Right, Bruce, you're going first. The average price of a mid-ranged desktop computer.
Oh, that's a tough one. Because you find things like technology is usually about the same price throughout the generations, even though it's much crapper in the past. On that theory, I'm going to guess $329.99.
You're going to right, $329.99, Chris.
I was going to say like £450.
Chris is technically closest. It was £1,200.
Oh, I don't think it was that bad.
It was one of them ones where technology was ridiculously high.
Yeah,
right,
bad.
Chris, go for the 3 in a row. You still can't win, but Chris, what was the average price of a Nokia 1011 in 1993?
I didn't know they existed, a 1011.
I was going to say there was no price because it didn't exist.
No, they do exist. They need a price, Chris.
I'll go, I don't know, £200.
£200, Bruce.
Is that a good guess? I don't know. £275.
Bruce technically closest. It was £821.
What the heck?
So there you go. That was The Price is Right. Bruce absolutely dominated, and he knows his 1993
I was
prices.
way better at the grocery shopping than I was the other stuff. That seems to be okay. Stuff that I would buy when I was 8. I seem to know those, those prices better. Thank you, Andy. Another good quiz. You are definitely the quiz
Also,
master.
That was the hardest thing I've ever had to Google in my life because, as you found out, prices are all over the shop.
Oh, anytime I typed it in, it was like, this is what the inflation rate was. No, I want you to work it out for me. I don't want to have to work it out for myself. So, yeah, impossible. Right, we better crack on. We've spent a lot of time so far. On to point 6. Movies within movies. I missed out a few of my parodies and references this time, but the ones that stood out. Lethal Weapon, because it's his last day on the job, and no one could say that was a Lethal Weapon. He mentions Apollo 13, but the movie hadn't existed yet. It's the actual Apollo 13, going behind the moon and all that. Breaking of the Snow Globe in the back shop, very Citizen Kane. Death Wish, man goes on a rampage to get revenge on the planet, essentially. His glasses breaking in the way it did apparently is the same way as the glasses. I think it's Dustin Hoffman's glasses in Straw Dogs, another kind of controversial film from before this one. His glasses break in a similar fashion. And another film that was referenced was Under Construction. That was the fake film that Michael Douglas made up in the film when he was shooting the bazooka. And what's never not good, this one I struggled with because I had at one point just a maniac on a rampage, but sometimes it doesn't work. So I've gone for your 2 main stars only share one scene, as in the whole film is then coming together at the end. That's usually pretty good. So I like that as my never not good. Chris, how about you for movies or the movies?
I gave up halfway through doing this, so there's probably loads of them. But I've got no memory of this. But Michael Douglas was in Haywire.
He was like the boss in Haywire.
I can't remember that at all. Again, I knew this one. Robert Duvall was in Gone in 60 Seconds.
It was Otto who ran the shop.
Yeah, I knew that one. Because it happened this season. Rachel Ticotin,
I think it is.
Ticotin. Was in the
second only film.
Her other acting credit, essentially.
This is when I went down the rabbit hole. Michael Paul Chan, who was the Korean shop owner, was Data's dad in the Goonies.
Yes. Mr. Lee was Data's dad from the Goonies, yes, very good.
And this is another one. I kind of gave up after this one. John Fleck was a doctor in Waterworld, and he was Pimples in arguably the greatest movie ever made, Howard the Duck.
Who was Pimples? I don't remember.
I've got no idea.
He played the guy in the park in this one, by the way, the homeless dude. Yeah. I think it's this steady guy, so I'm assuming it's the guy in the park. But yeah, I've had it in place before. You have missed out a bunch, though, Chris, unfortunately.
Yeah. I didn't go through everybody because I could be bored.
I'm going to... So, some good ones as well. So, one of the golfers, I don't know which one, he played a judge in Office Space. So, I think it's in like a Peter's kind of dream he had, I think, in Office Space. There's a judge in it. So, one of the golfers, I don't know if it was the angry one or the other one. You barely see him, but the paramedic at the end who wheels away the partner was played by Wayne Duvall. He was Homer Stokes in Oh Brother Where Art Thou, the guy who turned out to be a Klan guy, the guy who was running for election who turned out to be in the Klan. Huh. He played a paramedic in this. Where else did we get to? Dean Hallow, he plays one of the officers that shows up at Beth's house to help her out and then leaves early. He was one of the two evil ranch hands in City Slickers. But my favourite one, this is a 10-point podcast deep dive, this one. This is a belter. So, Steve Park plays Detective Brian. Was he claimed to be Japanese, not Korean, the policeman who got in. He was in Fargo. He was Mike Yanagita, Margie's date that she goes on that goes horrifically bad. I don't even remember that, but I did not connect those two people whatsoever. Him being a policeman in this, and then 4 years later being.
Oh Mike shit! So it is.
This is probably my favourite segment in the 10-point podcast. It's just these deep dives. They're brilliant.
I'll go through like all like the list of like there's like 20 people, and sometimes I'll go at the bottom and go through the uncredited ones, and it's the people in the middle I don't get to.
And that's where some of the absolute the little gems are. But yeah, we're getting to about 10 every film at this rate, though. We need to move out of the 90s, stay at the 90s for a bit, I think. But you still got some good ones in there, Chris. You got more than half of them, I think.
Yeah.
Did you recast us into the film?
Yeah. I was going to say Andy is 100% Bill, but after the issues I've had tonight, I am at that tipping point of snapping. So I am now Bill. I played Bruce as Prendergast, and I was going to put myself as the Whammy manager. So now Andy is the Whammy manager.
Okay. I went down the straight ahead route of Andy being Bill while I was Prendergast. Yeah. I put you as the captain, Chris. I don't know why, but I thought, yeah, you could be the captain. I can imagine.
I forgot about him. Andy could be the captain now.
Okay, Andy could be the captain. I suppose that would kind of work, yeah. Andy, have you done any recasting?
Not really. I'm going to recast the entire Whammy burger and put McDowell's in it from Coming to America, because I think it would just make that scene a bit more fun because it'd be something I know and recognise.
Very good. On to point 7. Point 7, I think, is still Chris's Would You Rather.
I can't have a couple go here, but I've settled on. Would you rather all fast food places only serve breakfast, or every single burger you get is flattened?
I'm already living with that, so
yeah. I don't know. I like breakfast, so I'm going to go for the breakfast option. I'll do like a breakfast.
I think I don't know. I feel like I more often, say McDonald's, I am more would want breakfast later than I want to have. I'd be like, oh, if they sold McMuffins till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I would be fine having one. So I could probably live with that. So I guess that. Yeah, I go for breakfast as well.
So I would go for, because I only go to like Burger King, so I don't like McDonald's that much. But they're like XL triple cheeseburger is thick as fuck anyway, so that's flattened. It's just like a normal burger. So I have to stick with that.
You're literally giving so much free advertisement away here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you were disguising it at first, but yeah.
I know.
Okay then.
Free burgers, so I'm saying Burger King all out.
We better move on to the nominations for the Pointy Awards. I've got a few. Does anyone want to lead? Anyone want to go last?
I've got a couple that you could fill around. Worst actress award: the person that had the giggles at the Whammy Burger.
I know, I
Sheila.
quite enjoyed that. I thought it was quite
I
funny.
quite like that
No,
as well. Yeah.
she took me out of the scene. Absolutely took me out of it. Worst, I don't know what category of this. And
I'm a
physics award. I'm putting physics in here.
All right.
Worst physics: a rocket launcher getting fired at a 90-degree angle and just working. Doesn't make sense. And that's pretty much where I've got, because you guys are just going to mop up everything else.
On you go, Chris. Just
I've gone for best actor as Michael Douglas.
has to be. Yeah, he's really good.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've mentioned that enough. He is really good. It's a
Yeah.
he always plays someone who's a bit crazy in things. Like Fatal Attraction, he's never like a kind of blue-eyed hero, and Basic Instinct, he's a bit weird and all that. So him actually playing this sort of really dark. I think I read that he likes this role the most. Obviously, he made the film because he found it. But yeah, I have to agree. He's very good in this, Michael Douglas.
And also, he can't pass for a 38-year-old though.
Yeah, he plays 10 years younger, and it does not look like he's 10 years younger.
I've gone for worst father figure as Bill.
Yep.
Worst cops is everyone that wouldn't listen to Pendergrass. I keep calling him Pendergrass, but it's Prendergrass.
It's Prendergast, yeah. I've got Sandra. That was his partner's name. I've got her specifically because of how stupid she was. I've got her. But yeah, all the other cops are just a pain in the arse, really.
I've gone for best death. It wasn't actually the best death, but it was the most deserving. The Nazi.
Yeah. I went best death. I went for Bill. I just thought it was movie death. I thought.
Oh, okay.
I
I'll
suppose
accept that.
Some of the drive-by backfiring might be a good death. We didn't actually see it, really. We just kind of saw that they had died. But yeah, I went for Bill. On you go, Chris. Sorry.
That's about as far as I got.
Cool. I've gone for best costume. I've gone for him in his shirt and tie. I think it's
I was going to wear one tonight, but
yeah,
it didn't work out.
It didn't work out. You could get the computer working. Never mind.
Can't even see you.
That's all we know. You could be dressed up in a
You
shirt
know what?
and tie.
Surprisingly, we're all wearing black t-shirts.
All right. Okay. What else have I got? Best hair. I've got for him. I got a nominated Bill's hair. It's a severe haircut.
That's pretty good.
Best cop. I've gone for Prendergast. I don't know if you mentioned he was the best cop.
Oh yeah.
Because he worked it all out from the clues. That was kind of how it's usually done. And I don't have much in the way of worst. You've mentioned all the worst ones. So my new award, stupidest character, I've gone for Sandra. I feel like a lot of films we do have not stupid people, not stupid actors, stupid characters. So like she was portrayed as being especially stupid. Best inanimate object. I am so happy we made this far without mentioning it. In 1992, when they were filming this film, a certain cultural phenomenon was happening in real life, not the LA riots, but Baby Got Back was being released, the famous Sir Mix-a-Lot song. To publicise his song coming out, he sent a giant inflatable butt around various parts of the countries as a promotional thing.
What?
And it's in this film. The scene where he shoots the phone booth with like his Uzi so the guy can't use a phone call, in the background is a gigantic inflatable arse with Sir Mix-a-Lot Baby Got Back written on it in the background. I'll see if I can find a photo of it and send it to you after we're finished. But yeah, that's my best inanimate object, is the giant Sir Mix-a-Lot arse that was in the background of one scene.
I didn't even notice.
Amazing.
And then my best bell end, I've gone for Bill as the best bell end because he's very good at being a villain in the end. We find that he's very good at being a bad guy because he has to do bad things throughout.
I feel like the Nazi is the best Bellend.
Oh, good shout. Yeah, he's definitely the bad.
Because
you know what I'm saying?
Bill's not, because he always went for people that were pissing him off, but the Nazi was just a prick full stop. So, I don't know.
Right. Move on. My battery's about to die on my laptop because we took
Moral of the story. My moral of the story is everyone has bad days. Is my moral of the story. What about you, Chris?
When the shit hits the fan, ditch the missus. Because that old man, as soon as that guy pulled the gun, he was out of that shop leaving his wife.
And you, Andy?
Just don't be a dick.
Yeah, Dick's a good one. It's a classic. In relation to Prendergast's wife, we could have bitches be crazy again. But
Yeah.
I know, every time.
Every episode. That's cinema and women, never mind cinema and race. 10 point on the 10 point podcast is the 10 point rating. Who do we rate the movie out of 10? Andy, alphabetical order, you first.
It's a film I wanted, like, when I started watching, I was like, I'm loving this. But then it really ground to a halt, which annoyed me more than the actual killing and stuff like that. I wanted more of that shit. So I'm going to say it's kind of bang average, so I'm going to give it a 5.
5 from Andy. I'm not too different from that. I feel like I want to like this film more than I do.
100%, yeah.
personally think it gets better. Like I was the last half hour, I'm like, I want the good guy to get the bad guy. I'm glad he's working it out. I want to find out what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen. The tension's building and all that. But I landed about a 6 as well. I think it's in the middle. On another rewatch, I might like it better, but 6 is fine. What about you, Chris?
I'm pretty much the same. As if you take out the whole Pendergrass wife, you take out some of the other scenes that don't involve Bill, it would have been a lot higher. But it's just a 5 for me. They just slow the film down for me.
That's quite simply a 5 overall then. A 5 out of 10 for Falling Down. I've also just remembered, I'm not sure the whole why his storyline was there, Prendergast, and why he was moving to this place that had London Bridge, other than just so they could have London Bridge's Falling Down playing at the end.
Oh my god.
Because London Bridge also falling down. I don't know if that was so on the nose or not. I don't know.
Look, I've got 3% of my battery left.
There to go. The random wheel of randomness has picked Misery and Falling Down. Is Psychopaths the theme that the wheel is picking
Definitely
out?
Nothers so far.
They're the two. So on to next time. Next time on the podcast is Andy's pick. Andy, what have you got for us next time?
Right, I was going to go for something a bit quirky, a bit different, something completely out of my range. However, the last 3 films have been a bit slower. So I've decided to go back to the safety zone of 1995.
Early 90s again.
Because the pick I was going to do is going to be right up into like brand new film. However, I've decided it needs to be a bit lighthearted. The world's a bit shit at the moment. So 1995, it's a film that you guys are going to absolutely love. It's the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
That was one of the picks I was going to do. That fuck.
I want to watch this since I was like 10 years old.
So it's going to be a bit of fun.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. There we go then. 1 week's time, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. You all have that much time to find it and give it a watch, and we'll see you next time on the 10 Point Podcast.